Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And my question of today is, where are you guys watching from? Because I'm really quite interested to see. Now, can XRP reclaim the throne over in Japan? Bitbank analyzes the latest data. Yuya Hasegawa, a market analyst at an FSA licensed crypto exchange in Japan, analyzed whether XRP will ever reclaim its throne. And you might be wondering, exactly what throne are we talking about here? Are we talking about price or really what? Well, we are talking about the dominance over in Japan. Because basically, for a very long time, XRP was the most popular coin over in Japan, and we've known for a pretty long while that really in Japan the support for XRP has just been great, and also that really just Japanese people have been really involved with crypto, at least in general. Now, at one point, XRP was even more popular than Bitcoin, as we can see in the chart here on the left. December 2018, January 2019, actually all the way up till April of 2019, XRP was more popular than Bitcoin. However, ever since that point, it shifted dramatically, as can be seen. Another question pops up of whether or not we can actually reclaim that throne. And a couple of the things that people have been saying is, one, the XRP community was really kind of divided, with a lot of people speaking solely Japanese and a lot of people speaking solely English. Not being able to understand each other was kind of annoying. And here we already saw the XP army shrink in the English-speaking region as XRP's price stagnation continues. Same thing is happening in Japanese markets. That's again after a little while of price, stagnation. It's kind of what it is. But Japanese have been involved with crypto for a very long while. Of course, some are stating that that's where crypto came from. Some are, of course, debating that. But again, a lot of this Satoshi stuff, and of course, the creator of Bitcoin stuff is also surrounding Japan. And also, this article was kind of interesting. It was how many Satoshis are in a Bitcoin. And of course, the Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. And this article is kind of how it came to be, exactly what type of structure or what type of letter they wanted to use to define it, and some other questions, why it was created, why not one big one, why all these smaller ones, and yada yada yada. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see these were proposed Satoshi symbols, all Japanese as well. But from a Western perspective, then a lot of those would be very annoying. I can understand if you don't really understand what any of this stuff means surrounding it, maybe. And just Japanese symbols, yeah. The Western world doesn't really like that too much if you go for something like that. Now, lack of narrative. Hasegawa explains that one of the reasons for Bitcoin overtaking XRP could be the price disparity. Since January 2019, Bitcoin's price has surged 152%, while XRP gained only 16.81%. Yet this may only be part of the story. Hasegawa also suggests that XRP lacks a significant narrative in the region. To quote, again, a pretty interesting quote, "The crypto market rally in 2019 was fueled partly by the safe haven narrative associated with Bitcoin. And the 2020 January rally was also due to a hedge against the geopolitical risk and expectation for multiple halvings scheduled in the spring, again, heavily related to Bitcoin. Ethereum also recorded high monthly traded value, but it historically has high correlation with Bitcoin, and it is expected to go through a major network update, again Ethereum 2.0, Serenity, sometime during Q3 of this year. Therefore, in a way, the popular narratives that drove the market for the past year or so have not exactly been shedding strong lights on Ripple's XRP. But now, of course, the bigger question, because we know the backstory, can XRP reclaim their throne, and what would it take? Hasegawa believes that XRP will continue to struggle in the short term, noting that the market's attention will likely be kept hooked on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Because the current global economic and financial situation and the Serenity update coming up in the third quarter, in the long term, he expects the demand for XRP to return as the new normal of the CV19 era begins. Quote, As movements across borders are strictly limited, the demand for cross-border payments and remittances have an opportunity to grow. XRP's issuer, Ripple, already has a scalable infrastructure to implement fast and cheap cross-border remittances, and its use cases are quietly growing in some parts of the world as well. Cointelegraph recently reported that Ripple, the largest holder of XRP, has initiated an open payments coalition and launched a universal payment system called PayID, which again might not involve too much XRP in the direct sense, but in the end will grow Ripple by a ton, and we'll see a lot of partners being added to RippleNet. At least that's what I'm thinking here. Because of this initiative, I think a lot more parties will join RippleNet as well, because Ripple is getting a lot more of a household name nowadays. And as we saw before, Bergong has stated himself that all we kind of need is for the initial hookup. Once partners are partnered up with RippleNet, it's not that hard to get them to use ODL. The biggest problem is to get them to use RippleNet at all, or at least the biggest hurdle. Why this respected fund manager sees DeFi thrusting Ethereum 4,000% higher to $1 trillion market cap. It's always a little bit interesting to see this type of stuff, but let's quickly see. Some investors are still wary of a March-like market correction. With crypto markets, you can never really predict that. And of course, who could have foreseen such a massive crash in mid-March? And who could have also seen the swift recovery from the painful lows? Ethereum has recovered over 120% from its lows of March. However, the Ethereum rally that was witnessed a few weeks ago, as the crypto set its sight on 250, seems to have taken a breather for now. The second largest crypto in the world is now hovering at around 227, yet a respected fund manager believes that Ethereum is due for a significant upsurge based on one key catalyst, and that is of course DeFi. Now if you scroll down a little bit, Berniske did not give a ballpark figure of how DeFi will launch the Ethereum price. He however stated in another tweet that if Bitcoin reaches 50k in the next bullish cycle, Ethereum should hit $7,500. Yeah. It's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big one, just to flex on us a little bit here. He also argued that the ICO boom flexed Ethereum's ability to perform one financial service, early stage capital formation, but DeFi will flex Ethereum's ability to perform all financial services, and that's gonna just make it go parabolic all the way to what was said just now, $7,500, and a little bit later here. Again, it could actually go 4,000% to $9,000 per Ethereum. Yeah, at $1 trillion market cap, but I think that's a little bit further away. Let's not worry ourselves with that too much for right now. Crypto exchanges and Bitcoin are poised for massive growth by 2030. And again, that's just one of the easiest things to say. Crypto exchanges and Bitcoin are poised for growth. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. That's nothing new. That's nothing crazy. But basically what I think and what my 2 cents on this is that more and more people will, of course, get involved with crypto exchanges. And at one point in the future, I believe that on most traditional exchanges as well, you'll be able to trade crypto like it's just a normal stock. And that many, many more people will start to buy and sell crypto just for the fun of it as well. Now, again, is Bitcoin going to grow? Well, most likely so. Of course, the adoption is going to grow piece by piece, a little snippet by snippet. But the interest, I believe that these 2 years that we're in right now will definitely kind of shape where the interest of Bitcoin is going to be going. But really a little bit later as well, and most definitely a couple years later, especially if we're talking about 10 years, most likely the increase in adoption is really going to be insane. At least that's what I'm kind of estimating it's going to be. Don't put your faith in XRP, reveals legendary crypto trader Peter Brandt. He's been of this opinion for a very long time. He's always been saying, don't buy XRP, just get out of it. It's a fraud. Don't get into it. And it always just ignites me more. Just makes me think that what we're holding here is golden and the stuff. And really, if there's such a big group of haters, then you know you're into something that's going to be good. At least that's how I feel about that type of stuff. If there's so many people saying it's bad, well, most likely it has something. It at least has some appeal to it. And again, some of the keynotes. Brad believes XRP is a fraudulent crypto. PayBito lists Ripple on its exchange. And the XRP price right now is at about, what is it at? 18 cents or something like that? 18.8. 18.65 is where it is right now. And you might be wondering, well, Dusty, you bought XRP recently, right? So what's going on? Well, as I've told you guys before, I buy crypto all the time, and it's nothing new if I'm buying any crypto, and it's nothing strange or crazy either. I buy all the time, so don't worry too much about the price, because I'm a long-term holder, and I think we'll all be good in the end, so I don't worry. Next one. Why is high transaction fees on Bitcoin and Ethereum a worrying signal? Couple reasons. One, it shows that there is kind of a congestion going on. That illustrates once more that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not that optimal for sending payments. That's one thing. But also that there's maybe something wrong. Maybe miners are quitting a little bit. Maybe there could be a couple reasons why it is wrong, which is always worrying. Could also be that it could also be another way to show that, again, Ethereum and Bitcoin are really not set out to do what people want them to do. And a couple of reasons you could think of why really them congesting is a very bad thing for the name of crypto. At least that's what I could think of on my own here in just a split second. A lot of reasons why it's bad. Ryan Watkins of Masari tweeted, more than 99% of all blockchain fees are paid to Bitcoin and Ethereum miners. Outside Bitcoin and Ethereum, virtually every blockchain is free to use because, well, they don't take as much money. They don't take any big fees at all. And Bitcoin by far is the most hugest one at all of them, taking so many dollars a month, so many dollars a day in terms of fees, which is just ridiculously crazy. And for Bitcoin, I don't know if you guys have been here for a little while, but yeah, sometimes when the network is really, really heavy, it can be very, very expensive to send some Bitcoin around. And when I say very expensive, I mean very, very expensive. Just like I've sent Bitcoin in the past for let's say, for example, I sent $100 for $20. Why is that so? Because if you want to make sure the transaction gets there in a timely manner, you're going to have to do that, or it might take a very, very long time to really confirm. And also, back in the day, I used to use Exodus Wallet, which kind of automates into a higher fee. I don't know exactly why. They just want to be safe and fast always. That's what they automated. You can change it, but I didn't know that at the time. Bitcoin is money, but not a new type of money. It's an exchange mechanism, New York Federal Reserve. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm keep doing this, it's because I have 4% on this laptop left, and I would have to run to the charger, but I'm a little bit, in the middle of the recording, so I don't want to go running. And by the way, if you are enjoying these daily crypto videos, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to do that type of stuff. So yeah, Bitcoin is not a new type of money, says the Federal Bank of New York in its latest paper, where it talks about Bitcoin instead of being a new type of exchange mechanism that can support the transfer of monies and other things. Bitcoin is a new type of money. It is actually a misconception, argues the author Michael Lee, an economist in the bank's research and statistics group, and Antoine Martin, a senior vice president of the group. They said, Bitcoin may be money, but it's not a new type of money. And they actually said in their report that it's really more like fiat money, and it's basically just intrinsically worthless objects that have value based on the belief that they will be accepted in exchange for valued goods and services. Again, but a couple of arguments are made against these claims, because of course one of them is, well, you're misidentifying what fiat exactly is. And second of all is, well, you could see the billions and billions and billions of dollars that is invested into ASIC miners, for example, and just miners in general, mining equipment, as intrinsic value for Bitcoin. Because without those miners, then there's no Bitcoin really. It doesn't work, right? And if you own some Bitcoin, you kind of own yourself the work that was put into getting that. And I know with gold, it's a little bit different, but to a certain extent, if there were no gold diggers, you would not get any new gold. And I guess that the thought doesn't work completely on different subjects. But it's kind of the idea that, well, if you bought that equipment, it's kind of worth a certain amount of Bitcoin, right? Because, well, you just put it to work and it will generate you Bitcoin, and thus it's kind of difficult to see. But that's an argument that people make as well, where there is some sort of intrinsic value to it. It doesn't really work without investment, from that perspective. I don't know exactly where I fit in. A lot of these guys were debating for a very long while. I just think it's sort of money, but it's also kind of a store of value, and it's also kind of just a new decentralized way of doing things and storing things and information and data. That's why I'm still kind of debating, but all right. Guys, thank you all for watching this video. The laptop has 2%, so I'm just going to cut it short here. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. And see you guys again in another crypto video. Take care, everybody, and have a very, very nice day.